Congressman Cummings took it upon himself, and I think that I was not representing True the Vote in that particular proceeding, but there were a series of letters sent to True the Vote from Congressman Cummings, which purported to be on behalf of the committee, using the franking privilege, and which sought to delve into the inner workings of True the Vote and to make allegations about True the Vote that were not true, demanding materials, demanding information, demanding that Catherine Engelbrecht and representatives of True the Vote make themselves available in Washington. And frankly, we think that is improper, and we will deal with that in a different proceeding. But we also, we also want to know whether there was any effort. We want to get to the bottom of how these coincidences happened. And we're going to try to figure out whether there was any staff of this committee that might have been involved in putting True the Vote on the radar screen of some of these federal agencies. We don't know that, but we're going to do everything we can do to try to get to the bottom of how did this all happen.
The gentleman yield.
Yes.
I want to thank the gentleman for his courtesy. What she just said is absolutely incorrect and not true. Letters were sent out as the ranking member. I am the ranking member of this committee. I did nothing different than what Mr. Issa has done when looking into situations. And I don't want to put out there that I was trying to act on behalf of the committee or anything unusual. We were basically looking into voting situations and whether voters were in any way being impeded from voting. I want to thank the gentleman for, and we have the letters, by the way, and they're all and Chairman Issa was sent copies of all the letters. So it wasn't like we weren't hiding anything. Thank you very much.
Well, and I thank the gentleman and certainly wanting to make sure that you have the opportunity. And so, Ms. Engelbrecht, the gentleman from Maryland obviously is one that, from a targeting standpoint, and so I would just let him follow up on that and make sure and give him the yield to him in terms of following up to assure you that neither he nor his staff or anyone would have contacted the IRS to investigate you and to do that. And so I'd yield to the gentleman and let him give you those personal assurances.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Mitchell, I just, we have interviewed a whole lot of people in IRS, and perhaps there's still more to be done. And I want to emphasize that the members on this side of the aisle are just as concerned about every single taxpayer being treated fairly. And so we've listened, and we've seen the testimony. And so it's not, and I'm sure we will, if there are things to be corrected, I know that there are a lot of things that have already been corrected based on the IG's report. And so, I just want you to be assured that we care about these issues too. We have constituents who we want to make sure are treated fairly too, no matter who they are, And so I want to make that clear. I also want to go back to Mr. Meadows. I want to thank you for, again, yielding. And Ms. Engelbrecht, Mr. Meadows is right. There's no targeting over here. We were just trying to figure out, make sure that no one was unfairly being impeded from voting. And it's a very serious matter for me. But the letters that I sent you, some of them concern a report. And the Institute for Research and Education on Human Rights issued that report in 2012. And their report examined your organization's activities in North Carolina, particularly with respect to where your poll watchers were placed. The report said that your poll watchers, and I quote, and this is a report, and this is what we were trying to figure out whether it was true or not, Mr. Meadows, and it said, go to the polls on Election Day and aggressively challenge the registration, the identity, or eligibility of prospective voters, end of quote. According to this report, your volunteers were concentrated in counties in North Carolina that have high percentages of African American and Latino populations. I want to ask you about this specific information in the report. First, of the 25 counties in North Carolina with the highest African-American population, the report says that True to Vote and volunteers were sent to 24 of them. Is that accurate?
I don't know, Congressman, because all True the Vote does is provide training. The way our electoral process works, citizens will choose their party or candidate of their choice to go and work on behalf of, but True the Vote has no control over where citizens end up ultimately working.
All right. And the report went on to say that True to Vote had poll watchers in 9 of the 10 counties with the highest Latino populations. So you wouldn't have that information either then?
True the Vote provides training. We cannot place volunteers inside of the polls. Therefore, that report is fundamentally flawed.
All right. By contrast, according to the report, True to Vote had recruits in only 4 of the 25 counties with the lowest Latino population, and I assume that your answer would be the same for that. Is that right?
It would seem to me, Congressman, that a volunteer would be sent where there were volunteer needs.
All right. And who determines those needs?
The party or the candidate that the citizen chooses to work on behalf of, or in some cases the county when they need volunteers sufficient just to keep polling places open.
The report says you had only 2 volunteers covering all of the 10 counties with the fewest African-American citizens.
We had no volunteers covering any county. We provide training, Congressman.
Now, if the numbers in the report are correct, they indicate that poll watchers were concentrated in counties where there were more minorities. It looks like the organization, if the report were accurate, was selectively targeting minority voters, and I think you would agree that you don't want that, do you? You wouldn't want that. I'm not saying, I know you're saying that didn't happen, but I'm saying that's definitely not what you would want.
No, the mission of True the Vote is to make sure that every American citizen, regardless of political party affiliation, has the opportunity to participate unimpeded in elections that are free and fair.
And on October 29th, your attorney wrote a letter saying this, and I quote, we operate completely in the open with anyone and everyone available to see what we do when we do it. Is that true?
Absolutely.
And so obviously, I hear what you're saying, but you can understand that when we get a report like that, we're almost incumbent. I would think Republicans and Democrats would be concerned about those kinds of allegations because those are the things that go to the fundamentals of this country, that right to vote. And you made it clear that you don't impede people from voting. Is that right?
No, sir.
Very well. Thank you very much.
I thank the gentleman. Ms. Engelbrecht, deep down, why do you think you had 15 visits from 4 federal agencies in a 2-year time frame after you applied? Deep down, why do you think you were targeted?
I think I was targeted because of my political beliefs.
Because of your conservative political beliefs. You know, I think it's actually, though, a little bigger. My guess is you were targeted because of your political beliefs, yes, but also because you were effective. It was working, right? True the Vote was having an impact. You were cleaning up voter rolls, right? You were educating people about how we should have free and fair, honest elections. You were praised by attorney generals all over the country, secretary of states. I'm looking at this, I'm looking at, you even had a program an outreach program to Hispanic Americans, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they targeted you because it was working. They said, well, we can't have this. Here's a conservative who's making an impact. That's why you were targeted.